I have decided that I do not like my intro. It sounds just too cheesy to me. So, I'm just gonna tell you. If you are catching me on my YouTube channel, I am doing my first YouTube video, and I'm like super scared and super nervous, but I think I can do it. I think I got it. So make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get all the updates and all the fun stuff on what's going on with the Nerd in Texas podcast. Make sure you don't have to click that little bell to get notified, but that would be cool, you know? If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down. I don't care. But just make sure you like and follow me on my YouTube channel. You can also find me on all the social medias. I will have that in the description below. And you can now listen to me you can listen to my podcast on Spotify. So, I'm going to leave a link for that as well. But my name is Chanel, and this is the Nerd in Texas podcast. And before I get into everything else, I have other news as well. I now have a coffee page. It's KO-FI page. And I'll be leaving that in the description. It is a virtual tip jar. So if you'd like to help me and help support my podcast endeavor, you can give me a tip. You can literally leave me a little tip on the tip jar. Or what Coffee likes to call it is you can buy me a cup of coffee. And it's $3. That's it. That's why I like it. It's just $3. The first person to buy me a cup of coffee, I will give you a shout out in my podcast in the next episode. If you don't want a shout out, because some people are not into that, I can give you a personal message. And if you follow me and subscribe to me on Coffee, you can get cool little updates. You can get exclusive content, behind the scenes, some things that only my Coffee members can see. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm also working on getting stickers made and maybe t-shirts. I make my own t-shirts, so I was gonna look into doing that, which I thought was cool. So I'm gonna see. I don't know how, I'm getting an overwhelming following, but not sell t-shirts kind of following, but stickers are pretty cool, you know? If you buy me a cup of coffee on my Coffee page, I'll give you a sticker, that kind of thing. So, let's dive into everything on this episode, and this episode is about episode 4 of Wanda Vision. Wanda Vision is on Disney+. The episode 4 is called We Interrupt This Program. And I feel like they named it We Interrupt This Program because episodes 1 through 3 are black and white 1950s I Love Lucy type show or Leave It to Beaver type show where you realize that Wanda and Vision are stuck in this black and white kind of vision thing. So to me, it reminded me of Pleasantville with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon, and then, like I said, a 1950s black and white sitcom. If you're watching my YouTube channel and my eyes keep moving, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So, I'm not perfect. This is my first YouTube video, so be patient with me. But this episode actually follows Agent Jimmy Woo and Dr. Darcy, and they're trying to figure out what's happening in the town from outside of the town. We also discovered that what's going on in WandaVision happens after Avengers Endgame and Thanos snapping away half the population. Because when it first starts, it shows Monica Rambeau coming back from what they call the blip, or at least that's what they called it in Spider-Man Homecoming. Sorry, excuse me. And it's the blip, and watching her come back from being dusted like the rest of everybody else, like Spider-Man and all that, it's actually kind of creepy looking. It's actually kind of scary. She comes back together molecule by molecule, piece to piece, because really in Avengers Endgame you just see all the superheroes just show up and they're there to fight. You don't see them coming back together. You know, when Spider-Man was I don't feel good, Mr. Stark. You don't see him coming back. So, that was also kind of weird. And it shows her coming back in the real world. Like, she shows up and she's sitting bedside in a hospital, and all you see is, like, hospital chaos. Like, you think something really bad happened. Do you have to? Okay. If you're paying attention to my YouTube channel, just ignore the weird kid dancing in the background. So it shows...
I'm the favorite child, so you know.
Okay, so it shows everybody coming back. It shows Monica coming back in a hospital where, Stop.
What?
And there's a bit of chaos happening in the hospital. Like, people are running around everywhere, and you hear one lady saying, like, it's overcrowded. And do you have to? Like, oh, God. Okay. This is Bailey. She's my 13-year-old. She is home doing virtual schooling because of her. We're quarantined. It's all her fault.
It's not. Just because I'm athletic and super cool and, like, the best ever, I got quarantined. That's not my fault.
She was in contact with a kid at school that tested positive for COVID, so we're staying home.
That's not my fault.
Except her sister doesn't have to be, like, quarantined. Makes no sense. But anyways, back to what my podcast is about. There's, like, chaos in the hospital. She's looking for her mom, so apparently she was sitting there with her mom. And...
Mom.
Ma'am,
Am I adopted? Like my little pen.
Anyway, no one cares about your stupid apple pen. Your pineapple apple pen.
Ew.
So anyways, she goes and finds a doctor, and you find out that her mother died of cancer 3 years ago, but it was 2 years after Monica disappeared from the blip from Thanos snapping.
Which one who are we talking about?
Go away. We're talking about Wanda Vision, and you haven't even watched a single episode, so go away. So she gets all of her Marvel and DC information and her Star Wars information from me, and then she goes to school and has a Star Wars trivia where she wins the whole thing, and it's like, she does it as an anonymous name, so the teacher is like, who knows all this stuff? And it's because of me that she knows these things.
I just have mine as, like, what did I keep putting at?
The dude?
Yeah, put it as the dude.
The dude. And she doesn't even, like, know what the dude means either.
The anonymous, the dude.
So anyways, so she found out her mother died of cancer 3 years ago, but 2 years after Monica disappeared from the blip. So then it kind of, like, fast forward where 3 weeks later, Monica Rambeau goes back to work for SWORD, which is the Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division. That's a mouthful. I don't know who came up with that, but it's like... Okay. So then we go and find out that her mother actually founded it, and then her knowing, like, that her daughter might come back, she made it to where she was, like, grounded, that she cannot deal with aliens and other issues that are out in outer space, and that she has to only deal with issues that are here on Earth. So she's placed on an investigation for a missing persons case, and it ends up being, like, she meets up with Agent Wu, and they find out it's actually a missing town case. Like, this town is completely missing. It shows 2 police officers in front of the... No! Bailey is getting a chair. Anyways, I still have to talk about my normal podcast, though. Okay, so there's 2 police officers standing in front of the City of Westview, like, sign, and they're like, hey, they have no idea what Westview is, but they call their town Eastview. I don't know. It's something weird. I don't know why they had that whole, like, no, this is Eastview when they were looking for West. I don't know. I didn't get that whole part. But then you end up finding out that Monica Rambeau isn't just nobody. And her mom, who died of cancer, isn't just a nobody. Her mom, who died of cancer, was actually Captain Marvel's best friend. And Monica was her daughter from the Captain Marvel movie. So that's kind of what this is like an Avengers movie, like, except with Avengers, it's like side characters. Like, you have Agent Wu, you have Dr. Darcy, now you have Monica Rambeau, and you're just like, what? But she decides to fly a drone into the town, and then the town disappears. But during a WandaVision episode, Wanda finds like a toy helicopter, like a 1950s toy helicopter with the sword logo on it. And she just like thought it was weird. And I don't know what she did with the helicopter after that, but... And weird stuff happens later. So, Monica then goes to investigate this force field that's surrounding Westview. And she gets sucked into the force field. Do you have to?
Okay, did it.
Oh my god. If you're watching the YouTube channel, you'll see how weird my kid is. She's like trying to balance a pencil in between her lips. She's like...
No, I got
doing
it
the
in
duck
my
face
mouth.
with
No,
a pencil
I
on
did
her
it in
top
my
lip.
no, I did it in my mouth and then I did it up there. Look.
She needs to go back to school, like for real. Anyways, okay.
I'm supposed to be in school right now.
So she gets sucked into this force field, and she gets sucked into the town of Westview and wakes up as Geraldine. She is a mysterious neighbor that she just eventually shows up, and everybody starts to question who she is because they're like, she hasn't come from anywhere. And she starts to eventually remember who she was outside of this town, because I guess you kind of get your memories wiped and you become a character in this TV show that Wanda has created. But she lets it slip into episode 3 that she knows Ultron killed Wanda's brother. And while all of that is happening, you have Dr. Darcy and Agent Wu figure out that Wanda's force field is giving off a TV signal you can only watch on like a really old TV. So they find a really old TV, they're watching everything unfold, and they're watching like just pretty much like all the episodes kind of like crunched together. I don't know, kind of like little highlights. And so it's kind of like they're watching what we've already watched, and they eventually figure out a way to contact Wanda, and then they discover that the feed is being censored, and then they kind of figure it out too late. And that's when Geraldine slips up about Ultron, and then you see Wanda push Geraldine just out of the town. She's just like pushed out of this force field. But they also watch it as it's happening. So they're watching it on this like old TV, and they're just sitting around like, okay, so what happened to her? And then all of a sudden like sirens start going off, and they figure out that Geraldine got pushed out of the force field and is back into outside of the town. Throughout the series, there's a whole lot of Easter eggs that if you didn't read the comics, like WandaVision's comics, or like if you didn't read certain Marvel comics, you probably wouldn't really understand. Like in the very first episode, she's like in the kitchen cleaning the kitchen. Oh my child! And now she's sitting behind me eating pretzel sticks. So if you hear crunching, it's her fault. So she's like throwing dishes around using her mind, and Vision says something like, "Oh, Wanda, you and your flying saucers." And it's because in one of the comics, she brings about like all these like aliens, flying saucers, and because Wanda is actually a villain in some of the comics. You can either call her Wanda or Scarlet Witch or whatever you want to call it. And also Vision in some of the comics, there's a series of comics where he is in a sitcom type scenario. So that's where they're going at with this. I know some people are like, this is so boring, blah, 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 blah. So if you want to skip the whole sitcom, black and white, I Love Lucy, Pleasantville, Leave It to Beaver type thing,
then don't watch Ding Dong.
just watch episode 3 and 4.
Oh.
She's such a jerk.
Why would you want to skip it?
Because it kind of sums up everything in 3 or 4. And what I mean by like the black and white sitcom and Leave It to Beaver is like TV shows where they're like, jolly gee, Bailey, like, why did you eat pretzels while I'm doing my podcast? Like, they talk like that.
Oh.
Now you're going to have to watch it. Now I'm going to make my 13-year-old watch it.
I'm more of a DC nerd. I love DC. DC's my
She
thing.
doesn't even know anything about it.
I do too.
She does not.
I'm Until flipping off.
You are choking on pretzel sticks.
Yes.
Well, you have tea right there. She loves peace tea, okay? I have to get her, like, but it's the blue kind. It's called Caddyshack.
Oh.
And it's, like,
It's not
tea and lemonade. And,
I'm addicted.
yeah, she is. They're usually, like, 2 for $3 at the gas station, so I always have to get her.
Time. I only have one.
Oh.
I usually have one for breakfast and one for lunch.
Oh, no. There are starving kids in other places, and you're sad because you don't have a peace tea for lunch?
Yeah. What else would I be sad for?
Anyway, so I feel like that's where they're heading with WandaVision, is that they're gonna make her the villain. And they're gonna make her the villain in this series. I just question if it's gonna be like, it's gonna have a few seasons, or if it's just gonna be a limited type thing, because...
What do you mean limited?
Meaning only one series. Like, one season. Like, there won't be any more seasons after that. So, that's where I think this is heading. And one question I have is, what happened to her Russian accent? Like, she doesn't talk in a Russian accent like she does in Avengers and stuff like that.
Russian?
Russian? I forgot to mention, like, Dr. Darcy.
And I'm from London.
Dr. Darcy is Kat Jennings. She was in Thor, in a bunch of the Thor movies, and 2 Broke Girls. That's, like, my favorite show. That show was awesome. I'm kind of bummed that they canceled it, but I wonder if that's because, like, her contract was up and now she's in WandaVision and in a few Marvel shows. And then Agent Woo was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was the FBI agent that had to keep showing up at Ant-Man's house whenever the the ankle bracelet kept going off, and then like
when he slid.
And he taught him like magic tricks. So in one of the episodes of WandaVision, or in the 4th episode, he like takes out his business card, but he does it like in a magician type way where it like flings out of his sleeve, and everybody's like, you're weird. But anyways, sorry.
Abuse.
So anyways, follow me on social medias, like and subscribe to this
Follow me
YouTube
too.
channel.
Instagram, Bailey_FO9. Go there. I'm pretty sick, not gonna lie.
She doesn't even post anything.
No, I don't.
Like, she has
But my
almost
bio
like,
is pretty
how
sick.
many followers do you have on TikTok? And she doesn't even post anything.
I have 980 and I haven't
Comments
posted
about
anything.
other YouTubers.
No, I go home on like all my comments, and then, like, or I say that I'm gonna stab people and they like it. And then that's
I
all.
know. TikTok has ruined the
Dude,
youth.
I said I was gonna stab someone, like, and like that got like 10,000 likes or something.
Lovely. So they're condoning violence, pretty much. Like, you say something stupid about stabbing someone and they like it.
That's the people that are doing that. It's not the app. Freaking Karen.
That's not what I meant, and I'm not a Karen. She keeps calling me a Karen about certain situations. When I'm saying it to myself, like, secretly in the car, I'm like, dude, that dude doesn't have a mask on. And she's like, okay, Karen. I am a Karen if I get in that dude's face and make a big deal about it. If I'm like, dude.
The fact that you said it out loud means
I don't say it loud. I say it in the privacy of my own car. Like, where nobody can hear me. And I just say something like, oh, that dude doesn't have his mask on. And she's like, Karen.
Because you are.
Normally, a Karen is someone who is like, he doesn't have a mask on, I'm calling the police. And gets up all in their face and is like, you're not wearing a mask. Blah, 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 blah.
Was oddly specific. You got any experiences? Maybe go locked down in the brain.
I'm done with you. Get out of here. Get out of my podcast. Get out of my YouTube video.
And I'm from London.
She's not. She's not any of those things.
I'm a disappointment.
She will. Okay, maybe you're that, but. She'll get on Fortnite and talk to random strangers and talk in like a British accent. I do not get mad. I get mad when you start bullying people. Anyway, she starts talking in a British accent, and we have it set to like the, where we live, which is in the United States. So people are like, whoa, you're from London. Whoa, you're British. But she sucks at a British accent. So every now and then it slips up to an Australian accent, and they're like, wait a minute.
You're Australian
Are you
too?
Australian? Like, what are you?
So now I've come with this backstory where I was on a motorcycle on my way to America. I wasn't driving it. Some other dude was driving it, and it was tied. A surfboard was tied to the back, and I was sitting on it, and
is this
on the way to
motorcycle in
America.
the ocean? Is that what's happening here? Are you in Australia
No.
on a motorcycle
I'm
in the
in
ocean
London 'cause
on
I'm
the way to the United States, and you get into a motorcycle
No, I'm
accident?
originally from Australia, right? So that's why my Australian one's so faint.
Oh god.
So, but then I was forced to move to London because I was too cool for Australia. So
This is
I got
when she
too
tells
famous.
people on Fortnite, okay? Then she ends up becoming really good friends with them, and she tells people that she has a totally different name. And then she'll be like, oh, it's my birthday on this day. And then it'll eventually become that birthday, and they'll be like, happy birthday. And she's
I'll be
like,
what?
what? It's not my birthday. And they're like, but that's what you told us. Are you lying? Are you a liar?
On my back. Okay, so continuing my backstory. I was too cool for Australia and got too famous there, so I went to London to be even more famous there, and then my last stop was gonna be America, the U.S. So
America.
on my way to London, I made it there successfully on the back of a motorcycle tied to a surfboard where I would just sit down and then practice my coolness, and then yeah, I made it to London, lived there for exactly 4 years, no more, and then on my way to, what's it called? U.S.
Where you live?
Yeah. On my way there, I crashed, and then I got a concussion, and then...
You woke up with a British accent?
Yeah. I speaked both.
Spect.
I did that
I
on
spect
purpose.
both.
I speak both. Very, like, they were messed up. So they would just both come out at random times, and then I went to America and then started messing with people.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Thank you for putting up with my 13-year-old
Follow my
daughter.
Instagram, please.
Find us on social medias. I'll
So I can
leave
be mean to
Bailey's
my cousins.
Instagram in the description as well. I'll
It's
have
really
to
not
find
that
it.
hard, unless you spell my name Baylee, which is not how you spell it. Get it right.
But if you
It's
loved,
Bailey.
but if you loved this podcast,
F09.
if you loved this podcast, and you want to leave us a tip in our virtual
And
tip
if
jar,
you want me to be in it more, even though I'll probably sneak in it like all the time, but
until
what
she
time
goes
is it?
back to school.
Yeah, until I go back to school. But if you want me to be in it more often, which you probably do because I'm like the coolest person ever, then just say it because I'm so cool.
Just say it, or just leave something in the comments. Send me a message, whatever about Bailey.
You can
Anyways,
call me the dude.
Anyways, if you would like to support our podcast and give us a tip in our virtual tip jar, go over to my coffee page and buy me a cup of coffee.
Buy me
Texas a cup
coffee.
of coffee.
I liked iced coffee.
It's just stop,
What
please.
kind of coffee is it?
Stop.
I'm just wondering.
It's okay. I will show you my coffee page in a minute. It's not coffee. They literally just give me $3 to help support my podcast because it's actually expensive to have a podcast.
Coffee?
And I don't have sponsors. So it's just a little thing.
Why is it called coffee?
Because
I
that's...
want coffee.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go. You guys have a great day. Have fun, my
You're
fellow
amazing.
nerds.
You're beautiful. You're awesome. But I'm awesomer. You're
Be
amazing.
nice to people.
I'm kidding.
Bye, my
You're
fellow
amazing.
nerds.
Yeah.
I love you.
Bye.